Scotty May. I would like to have the total number of attendees, so if we can at least count at some point. I want that to go into the minutes as well as just that we confirm a quorum. So
Yeah,
at some
I think
point,
there was one name on Judy's Pearson. We'll just,
yeah, as long as we get well beyond 23, we'll be. You want me to leave this unlocked?
You can actually lock it.
Okay. I thought you gave my keys. Do you happen to have the keys on you?
I do.
Oh, sorry, because I already put the keys
I got it.
before service.
Yeah.
But I locked the thing.
You're doing the top one?
Yeah.
Oh.
This looks more like it. The top one
Oh.
usually the.
There it is. Oh, wow. Okay. One of those, yeah.
Okay.
There, yeah, the top one's the regular. Yeah. Ooh.
I always,
That's,
when I first started doing this, I couldn't remember. Then I finally went to the, I remember. Just think it the top one is the whole key.
yeah, yeah, right.
St. James. We've moved this to once a year instead of twice a year. Katie? All right, thanks everybody. And that's still pretty loud. If we can turn it down a little bit maybe. So thanks everyone for joining us. If you are a faith partner, please be sure to to sign in. And if you're not, we're glad you're here so you can learn more about what we're doing as a congregation in terms of our future ministries. I'm Sandra Hamilton Slane, and I have been the president of our Congregational Council for the past 2 years. And so I also want to introduce the rest of our council members. Linda Ruby is our vice president. Stand up, please. Dottie Mae Bain is our treasurer. Connie Strohmeyer is our secretary. She's not here today. Pilar Hartman is on council. Fred Shy is out of the room. Oh, there he is. And Bev Belk. And we'll be electing 3 today, 2 returning if you like, and 1 new one. So let's start just with this opening prayer. I got this today off of the site from Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service, so pray with me if you would. Spirit of love, known by many names in many lands, we call on you as we gather in hope. Hope for joyous reunions, hope for a brighter future, hope for safety, hope for peace, hope for comfort, hope for healing, hope for new beginnings. May we be bold to embody your hope and share it generously with all. Amen. And then the next slide, please, has our agenda on it. Oh, no, it doesn't. It has our strategic priorities. The agenda was probably before that. We're going to start with just, there it is, excellent. Confirmation of a quorum. If you remember, in our bylaws and constitution, we changed it to be 20% of active faith partners. And so, Dottie Mae, you can confirm that we have a quorum today? All right. 35, that's excellent. Way above what we need, but we moved it because we wanted more people to be invested and be making the decisions for our congregation. That's still a pretty small number, but it's better than it was before. All right, so the first order of business, and we pass these out, is to approve the minutes of our first of 2 congregational meetings last year. So I've passed those out for you as well. Can I have a motion to accept those minutes? And say it nice and loud, raise your hand.
So moved.
Mel, second?
I second.
Second, Dottie Mae. Any discussion about the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, and then we had a second congregational meeting where we approved the Constitution and bylaws and budget. That's provided as well. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes? Okay, Ginny? Second?
Second.
Raise your hand so I can see you. Thank you, Diane. Any discussion? Corrections, typos? Thank you to Marge Brown for those minutes from last year's meetings. She was our secretary, that's true. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries unanimously. All right, and then we have nominations for council. If we could advance the slides, I don't remember if I have anything written in here that I want to, oh, yeah, okay, we'll just leave it there for now. Nominations for council, you have 3 nominees. Linda Ruby is available for re-election. I'm available for re-election. And then Patty Brent is also available. I will also take nominations from the floor if there's anyone else who would like to nominate themselves or someone else. Hearing none, then if we can vote on these by acclamation. Are there any, we'll just go, instead of unanimous consent, we'll do votes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstain? All right, those nominees are elected unanimously.
Hey, Sandra.
Yes.
Just thank you for
glad to do that, yes. And then we have two nominees for the Endowment Committee. Judy Bechtel will be running again. She's been serving already. And then, why am I blanking on who else are? Steve Martinez. Sorry, Steve. We have the bio for Steve, too. So is there anyone else who would like to nominate themselves or someone else for endowment? We have two openings. All right, hearing none, then we can do this again by unanimous consent. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstain? Okay. And then we have two more groups that we need to elect. We can either do that today in the meeting, and in the past, if we've not been able to have the nominees, we have then elected or voted to empower the council to do this. We, in our Constitution, need a nominating committee every year, and it's always a new committee. Part of the goal of that is to get some fresh faces. We don't want the same people in all of the same positions, and so by having different people on the nominating committee, then we're able to get some fresh involvement from other people. And so again, thank you to the nominating committee this year, which was Robin Scheid and Marge Brown, I believe, right? Do I have my thank you very much for that slate of candidates. We were able to fill our positions. Heather Waldrop has agreed to be on nominating committee for the next year. Is there anyone else who is volunteering to join Heather? It's a one-time task. All you have to do is find some people who want to serve in our committees. All right, Margaret. One more person, maybe? We had two this year, we'd like three. All right, let's elect those two, and then we'll also vote that if we want to add someone else, council can do that. So can I have a motion to elect Margaret Rood and Heather Waldrop to the nominating committee? Okay, thank you, Robin. Second? Second. All right, second by Marge in the back. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstain? All right, and then can I also have a motion to allow council to fill the rest of those slots? So moved. Okay, Russ. Second by Mel. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And any abstain? Okay, we're just moving right along. And then the last thing we need, if you have been paying attention at all to any of the Sierra Pacific Synod information, we will be having Synod Assembly. It will be delayed until September of next year, and during that time we will elect a new bishop. We elected one 2 years ago. This year we have an interim bishop, and she will be ending her term in September. We will elect a new bishop. By the size of our congregation, we are entitled to one lay nominee to attend. Just so you're aware, a lot of the rest of us attend. I'm on Synod Council, so I'm there as a voting member. Rostered leaders are there as a voting member, so Pastor Bob will be there as a voting member. So we will have, what I like to say, good representation, good involvement in Synod Council, Synod Assembly, but we will also want to take one lay person with us. And so again, if I have a nominee from the floor today, we can elect them. If not, then we will allow the council to select and identify a person to go. Is there anyone who would like to nominate themselves? Margaret, you'd like to volunteer to go? Okay. Anyone else? It's in the Bay Area. Burlingame, I think. The Hyatt has let us reschedule 3 times without any cost, so we're very grateful to the Hyatt in Burlingame. All right, so then I'll close the nominees. Can I have a motion to elect Heather? Second? To elect, Heather's moving to elect Margaret. Diane's going to be the second. Any more discussion? Bob? When I asked the question about how many we had available, they didn't say that. I didn't hear anything about that. So right now we would have 2 females and 1 male, officially. If we had 2 members, if we were over 175 members, and I think we've been that large in the past, and we've had 2 nominees going, then at that point we would probably want 1 male, 1 female. But we only get 1 this time. All right. Any other questions, discussions, comments? Then all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay. Any questions about any of that business? We do have plenty of other committees. We have a finance committee. I'm trying to drum up a personnel committee. We have many others in our Constitution. So there are plenty of ways to be involved in the leadership of the church. Maybe you don't want a formal council role where we meet every month and make all of those governing decisions, but there's plenty of other places to be involved. So please reach out to us and let us know if you want to just get your feet wet and participate a little bit in some of our committee structures. So I prepared today a little bit of a kind of state of the congregation presentation. And just, it doesn't make sense to me for us to vote on the budget when we're not looking at what have we accomplished, what have we focused on this last year, and what are we hoping to achieve going forward in the future. So I'm just going to go through a few slides kind of highlighting some of the achievements from this last year. And I'm going to have to keep turning around because I forgot to print it out for myself. So these are our 6 strategic priorities. We approved these as a leadership group about 18 months ago, and that was to take us through the end of this year. The next slide has our first priority, which is rejuvenating faith formation activities and in-person worship based on our capacity, basically our volunteer and staff availability. And that tells you some of the numbers in terms of how many people have been attending worship on average, how many we've been engaging online, how many have participated in other kinds of activities. So I feel like for some people, they come in and they're like, wow, there's only 60 people at church. There's actually closer to about 140 or 150. They just cycle through 50 at a time. Most of us come probably 2, maybe 3 times a month. So we will be trying to keep better track of that. I will let you know that some of our records for membership have not been very reliable. So please don't be offended if somebody reaches out to you and says, you know, I don't really have good records. Are you a faith partner? We're just taking your word for it if you say yes or no, but we want to get some of those records cleaned up a little bit. Next is our second priority, which is to enrich our digital and online presence, to communicate other activities at St. James, and to deliver both our faith formation and worship activities. And that gives you a little bit of information about how we're engaging other people. Our online worship, both recorded and live streamed. Other activities we have, prayer time and Bible studies. I was actually super excited to go back and look over our Facebook engagement because one of the posts that we did last year had over 300 people looking at our information about the ministries that we're doing. So that's actually a really good venue for us to keep people informed and let people know what's happening. Third, our goal was to work within a financial structure that aligns more closely with our actual giving. So as you know, we have had a transition in staff this year. We've taken one of our positions that was a full-time benefited salaried position, and we've made it part-time. I'm happy to say that we actually completed interviews this week for a communications and connections coordinator. We hope to make an offer for that position early in the week. And so that person would start hopefully in the 1st of January. So then at that point, we will be fully staffed with the model we're using right now. We instituted prorated time off for all of our employees. And so it used to be only if you worked over 30 hours did you get any sick leave or vacation leave or holiday leave. We really want to encourage work-life balance for all staff, whether they're full-time or part-time, especially since most of them are required to be here on Sundays. And so we now have a benefit package where they're able to take paid time off. That doesn't cost us anything because they're already getting paid. It just means that they're not overworking themselves or filling in hours if they had to take a day off. We want to make sure everyone has the chance for paid time off. Does anyone want to celebrate that third item up there? Okay, This was our little windfall. I had a goal that we have 3 months of our expenses in a reserve fund, and thank you to the taxpayers of the United States of America. We received that in employee retention credits of $76,000. Thank you very much to our former office manager, John Arasso, who put all that paperwork in for us, and then we waited and waited and waited, and Dottie Mae had the great privilege of opening up the mail one day and finding at 2 different times a total of $76,000. That money right now is in the bank. That money right now is not being spent on anything. It's a reserve fund. And towards the end, after we vote, towards the end of the presentation this morning, Petey is going to come up and give us an update a little bit on Goodwater Crossing, but we've actually had $80,000 come in various donations and contributions, and that doesn't include the $50,000 from the city has promised us. So that is working. We're spending that money on engineering and other kinds of site work, but we will be looking at how we can support that going forward in the future. Okay. We also wanted to have a property fund, and thank you to everyone who donated to that. At one point, it was as high as $18,000. It's not that high anymore because we have some kind of a gremlin in our HVAC system. It doesn't matter how much we fix it and move on, something else has been breaking down. We think that there was some poor, what do I want to say? Some poor recommendations from our previous provider in terms of the units they provided to us, the size of them, the way they were connected up to our electrical system. So we are still having some problems with that. We've had to pay for, the units got covered by our new vendor by warranty. He was able to get that for us, but it's still been a lot of employee hours, workman's hours, in order to track down some other problems with both electrical and our venting, and it's not done. So that fund is now down to about $5,000. We have a surplus in this year's budget in terms of we haven't spent everything we budgeted for and have taken in, and we can roll some of that over, but we will be looking to try to recoup some money into that fund. So if you'd like to donate for property maintenance, we want to build that fund up. The goal would be to get to $40,000 to support our 40 years of in this building. Any questions about that? All right, and then the last two. Prepare and celebrate God's faithfulness to us. On our 40th anniversary, we had a wonderful retrospective worship service that day. We decided to dial back a little bit on some of our celebration because we don't want to steal the thunder of 2 years from now when we celebrate the 75th anniversary of this congregation. So please be looking forward to that, and if you want to participate in planning those celebration events, please let us know. And then finally, the legwork. Thank you to Linda Ruby and a team working with her to update our bylaws and constitution. We will now keep that up every 2 years, 3 years, whenever changes come in through Synod Assembly and churchwide. Okay.
Can I also,
Next. Yep.
I would also like to, she's not here, but I want to recognize her anyway. Marilyn Ogden
Yes.
did a lot of legwork before she
Yeah.
took over.
Yeah, Marilyn did a lot of work to promote and to get us started on our bylaws and constitution revision. Okay. So our upcoming plans, we do hope to have a leadership retreat one night and one day towards the end of January, where we can start planning for the next 18 months. Quite frankly, with the speed of change, and some might even say chaos in our organizations right now, we don't think any more than 18 months planning is really very logical. So we will want to look for how we want to structure our ministries going forward up into that 75th anniversary. One of the things we really need to talk about is finances. We need to talk about our financial values. I have some ways I want us to do that. And then we really need to talk about our designated funds. We have a lot of money in designated funds that isn't getting spent on anything. So we need to clean that up a little bit, make sure that we are defining those funds better for future use, any that we set up, like Good Water Crossing or the Jubilee Fund, that we really know how to manage those so that people who are donating know what it's going for, but so that we can actually use the money. It doesn't do anybody any good sitting in a fund somewhere. So those are some of the things that we want to focus on in an upcoming retreat. All right, Pete, can I have you come forward at this point? And does our handheld mic work for Pete to give us an update on Good Water Crossing?
So, as you may know, the wheels of progress move slowly in the city of Reading. Good Water Crossing, I had a verbal commitment from the city that they would give us $50,000 because we had sent them a letter back in September for $100,000. They said, okay, we'll give you $50,000. I said, great, put it in writing, please. Why? Because it's just good business practice, and we need that letter so we can apply for more grants. And so we haven't received the letter yet, nor have we received the permit yet, and I've bugged them. Also last week, I cut loose our favorite person, Connie Strohmeyer, who used to work for the city, and I asked her to use her relationships to see if she could prod things along. And then I've also reached out to Laurel Parks from the Micro Shelter community. She was back in Tennessee on vacation, but she's back this week, and I've asked her to use her connections to prod things along. So that's kind of where we're at. We're waiting for the letter from the city and the permit. And then with the funds that's in your handout, I think we have about $59,000 in the Good Water Crossing funds. Then if we get the $50,000 from the city, we're up to about $110,000, but we need about, say, $200,000 to get this thing off the road. So we need about $100,000 in grant funding. So that's why we need that letter from the city, and we also need the permit from the city. The city approved the drawings back in September, so they've all been approved by all the department heads in the city. So we're just waiting for 2 pieces of paper. Thank you for your support. Questions? Bob?
Well, I'm just wondering if we got somebody in City Hall who's making verbal promises and can't put it into writing, maybe some phone calls to his office, like 20 or so tomorrow morning. Hey, I actually did this once, and we got a city council in Cincinnati to make a move. So unless that's trumping on your territory, I would suggest that 20 phone calls to very different office might cause him to raise it to the top of the stack of what he
Yeah, it's a free country, so.
So Bob is suggesting, just so people can hear from live stream and across, Bob is suggesting that if you want to call the city of Reading and as a citizen, ask them to go ahead and please move this forward. I don't know that there's, stall other than just bureaucracy and other priorities, but it wouldn't hurt for them to know that we are invested and motivated in this. So if you would like to call the city of Reading, we can go ahead and anybody can do that wants to. Diane, you had a question?
I would just like to add to Bob's, we just had an election for city council, and all of them who ran said homelessness was their top
Yes.
priority. I would suggest that you call all
Yeah.
the city council and say, look, is this a priority or not?
Right. So Diane's pointing out that in the recent City of Reading elections, homelessness was a big issue. This is a solution. This is a small solution, but it's a solution and a step forward. So again, that's something that you can remind them of their commitment. I want to also let you know that anything that's in that Good Water Crossing is not money that St. James officially has committed. Those are all personal donations. We have not designated any money out of our operating budget into that yet. It is something that council believes we should do, but we have not done that yet. So all of that money is privately raised by members of this congregation, others who are interested in that ministry. Ken?
Who are we expecting to sign the letter from the city?
I don't know who are we expecting to sign the letter from the city, do we know?
Barry Tippin.
Barry Tippin, the mayor.
He's the city manager.
City manager, I'm sorry, city manager. I don't live in the city of Reading, so. All right, then let's move on to official business for our budget. You've received a copy of it. I will entertain a motion to pass the budget, then a second, and then we'll open it up for discussion. So can I have a motion? Mel, a second? Russ? All right, it's open for discussion, comments, questions. If I could have somebody take the portable microphone around so that somebody who's not dizzy, so that we can hear those questions.
I just would like to hear some discussion about this new hire communications position,
Okay.
as to what that is going to entertain there.
Right, so it's called Communications and Connections Coordinator. At this point, we're estimating about 16 hours a week. And if you think about it, not much that we do anymore is really secretarial or clerical. So this person is going to be maintaining our databases, maintaining all of our digital presence, websites that Bill King was doing part-time, just on an hourly basis, newsletters, any of the communication within our congregation, helping with the material for Sunday morning worship services. We don't want our pastor doing the PowerPoint. He's a little overqualified for that. So any of the communication devices that we're using, some that we're not using, maybe like texting that we need to move into, and then some of our database work, some of the keeping track of who's here, what the needs are for people, how people can get engaged, both again within the church itself and within the larger community. So it's really, and I've seen it a lot recently in other organizations, it's kind of like a communications / public relations person, but with a really high emphasis on digital media. It's actually a job description that our synod has, and I stole it from the synod and modified it for us. Heather, use a microphone, please. And the position's been listed in our e-newsletter, if you want to go and see a little bit more about it.
Is it on?
Yep.
Okay. I have a multi-part question.
Yes.
Well, I have multiple questions, I guess. First question is I'm seeing an entry for Dottie Mae Bain bookkeeper, but I'm seeing $0 there, so I'm just wondering why that was incorporated as part of the, like, are we intending on eventually funding a position of such? So that's question one. Question two, I see there are $0 for an organist and pulpit supply. I know organists are few and far between these days. So is the expectation coming into next year that we will not have an organist in any capacity, or is the expectation that that person will donate their services? Same with pulpit supply?
So there is a screen about this. Katie, are you able to
Okay.
find the one where it talks about the budget? This one, yeah.
Okay, let me just finish, because I just have one final question, and then we can go through all of that. What is the current balance on our property loan?
Okay. So to let you know, we'll get to that one second. So to let you know, the topic of volunteers, the topic of unpaid labor. People are serving in this community as they are called, as they are skilled and equipped to give their labor free of charge. So that is a really good thing. That's not really a second choice option for us. The way I look at it is if we have the skills and interest from people in our community to serve, we're going to go there first. If we don't, then we might need to hire that out. If that's a value and something that's really important to this community and congregation, and we don't have it within our skill set, then we're going to hire that out as a paid option. Right now, these people are donating of their free will. Both pulpit supply, musicians, and our treasurer are foregoing income. They don't want to be paid for any of that. That's their ministry, that's their service, that's their volunteering, that's the way they can use and give to the church, their time and talents. Just like the rest of us give money, some people give their time, some people give their talents. However, That's important work, and we don't ever want to lose sight of the fact that if Dottie Mae, in this instance, would discontinue doing that, or the workload would become too great, we will need to start hiring and paying for that. So we always want that unpaid labor identified in there as a dollar amount and recognize that, because at some point we might need to convert that back into paid positions, and we need to be able to plan for that. So does that answer the question about all of those labor? The pastor is taking a sabbatical. He's applied for that to council. That was approved. It will be for the 3 months of the summer, but the Faith Expressions Committee has been working out a plan, and again, those services for pulpit supply and for worship leading will be done primarily through those participants in our congregation already. So at this point, we are offering people payment if they are serving in that position, but they are most likely declining it. And then the last one, we have about 20 months left on our loan, and the amount is listed here. 21,487. So we will be finished before by about our 75th anniversary. We will be finished with paying off that loan. Now, we have some options going forward, and it's something that we'll talk about at the leadership retreat. Dottie Mae, do you have one of these that Heather can have? Did you get one of these ones? Okay, yeah. You know, we can go ahead and do some kind of a campaign. If we want to do a matching campaign to pay that down faster, that's fine. I'd rather see some money go into the into the Jubilee Fund first. The whole reason we had to go and take out a loan is we didn't have savings, so I'd rather us save up some money and keep the loan going. Almost everything we're paying right now is principal. So we have, I think, less than $100 a month going into that as interest because we're at the end of that loan. And if you remember, we suspended it for 3 months last year because of our exigent financial circumstances. So we're back on track. So just some highlights about the budget this year. We did also give employees a 6% raise. The pastor's raise was more just because it's based on Synod guidelines, but we were not able to give raises last year. We felt we needed to make up. This still doesn't catch up with cost of living, but we don't want to fall behind too much. Increased Katie's work hours. She will probably be our liaison into Goodwater Crossing, and so we wanted to make sure that we had enough hours. She's already been working 25 hours. We're moving some of those tasks onto the new position, and then she'll be doing our liaison work with Goodwater Crossing. Our new staff position budgeted 16 hours a week. And some of you have asked also about where's the money for EZIAC or LSS. We're taking all of that right now out of our youth fund in designated funds because we have the money there and nothing else to spend it on. We would like to get back to giving a full 10% of our giving into ministry, local ministries, and possibly Synod, but we don't feel like we're secure enough yet to get there. But that's something that we would move forward in. So we are still funding those programs and those ministries. We're just funding them out of the designated youth fund rather than out of what I call our operating. And so it should be noted, thank you very much to the Finance Committee, which was Judy Price, Jason Honig, and Larry Correa. This is the first balanced or surplus budget this church has had in 11 years. So there's a small surplus, 4,000 or so for us, but we feel like this really fits our giving, very closely aligned to what our giving is this year. Our giving this year has exceeded our expectations, and everyone has economized very well, and so our expenses have been lower than we budgeted for. Other questions, comments, concerns? Do we feel ready to call the question? All right. No? Call the question. All right. Then we will take a vote on this budget. All in favor? We already had a motion and a second. Yep. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstain? All right. Thank you very much. If you would stand with me, please, then, and I'll have to turn off my mic because you don't want to hear me sing. But let's all finish with singing the doxology together. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise motion to adjourn.
Just quick, before we adjourn, just a big thank you to the church council and Sandra for her leadership. It's good to see we're headed in the right direction.
Amen, we are. Can I take that as a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Pete. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Any questions, feel free to come talk.